Hey friendlies, I'm Carolyn and welcome back to my life living in an RV. Summer is here. That means it's getting hot outside. And for those of us who live and travel in our RVs, vans, and vehicles full time, that means we're in search of the best, coolest places to spend the summer where we're not gonna die of heat exhaustion in our vehicles. So today I'm gonna share with you my top 10 favorite summer destinations for the best camping and the coolest temperatures all across the country so that you can find the best places to cool off living in your RV this summer. So let's get started.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Got to find your own.
I've got 10 places for you today that might be some really good options for you for finding cooler boondocking, especially those of us who live off grid and don't go to parks and plug in and run the AC. It's really important to find cooler temps in the summer. Otherwise, it's just unbearable to live in your vehicle. So my list today isn't in any particular order, but number one on my list is Deschutes and Willamette National Forest near Sisters, Oregon. So I spent my first couple years up in Sisters, Oregon. Beautiful area. It's close to a lot of amenities and there's tons of national forests and a ton of camping. The town of Sisters is going to sit a little bit lower than a lot of the camping, and so at 3,182 feet and an average July high temperature of 85 degrees and a low of 43. That temperature might be a little high. If you go higher in the mountains, you lose 3 degrees. It gets 3 degrees cooler for every 1,000 feet you climb. So even if you go 1,000 feet above Sisters, Oregon, you already get down to 382 degrees. So that's definitely bearable, especially in the shade when you're living in an RV. So that's why Sisters, Oregon, with a lot of national forests and cooler temperatures than a lot of the lowlands, is a great destination if you're on the West Coast. And second on my list today is the Dorado National Forest. A lot of locals refer to this area as Ice House because there is a reservoir up there that used to be an old ice house where they used to get ice, I guess, for local communities. But it's just outside of Pollock Pines, not too far from Lake Tahoe. When I was married, my ex-husband and I used to camp up there every year, and I have done some boondocking up there. There is plenty of boondocking in the National Forest, and at a little bit of a higher elevation, the high July temperature in the town of Pollock Pines, which is going to be at least 1,000 feet lower than Ice House Reservoir, is about 86 degrees. So while that still is a little hot for me, it's bearable if you're in the West Coast and you're looking for someplace. And that's the average high. The average low is 50 degrees, so you don't even have to worry about that at all. But it's a beautiful area. It's close to amenities, so it's a great option for staying cooler in the summer months. Third on my list is the Midwest, believe it or not. So last year, I think I did a lot of traveling through the Midwest, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan stole my heart. And on the shores of Lake Superior, it's an awesome option for summer camping if you're in the Midwest. I spent some time up in Copper Harbor. It's right on Lake Superior. There is boondocking up there at the Mary McDonald Preserve at Horseshoe. Go out that road. There's a ton of boondocking, especially if you're in a van. Little more limited if you're in an RV, but I did find boondocking. And the elevation is only 650, because it's pretty much right at lake level. But the average July temperatures are only 72 degrees high, and the low is 56. So if anywhere near the Great Lakes, you're going to get the lake wind like I've got here. And so that's definitely going to cool things down a bit, other than smack landlocked in the Midwest. So Upper Peninsula, Michigan, I loved it. The whole UP stays relatively cool compared to the lower part of Michigan and the lower states, because the whole thing is surrounded by water. So the UP in Michigan is another great option, especially if you're going to be traveling to the Midwest. Fourth on my list today of cooler places to spend the summer if you live in an RV or a vehicle is Dixie National Forest near Bryan Head, Utah. Spent some time there a couple years ago. It's beautiful. There's a ton of boondocking. It's higher elevation. Actually, it's at 9,800 feet. Your high July temp is only going to be 86 degrees, and that's at Bryan's Head. So again, once you get into the forest, you're getting a little higher. Your temperatures are going to come down. So Bryan Head, Dixie National Forest in Utah, south of Salt Lake, is an awesome option for spending the summer if you're looking for cooler weather. Number 5 on my list today of cooler destinations for summer RV living and travel is another place, eastern United States. White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire. I spent some time up there a couple summers ago. I don't know. I was up there and it was so cool. It was a little rainy, but it was very cool. Another thing about these Midwest and eastern places, the temperatures are lower, the humidity is high, which makes it feel a little bit hotter. But even 80 degrees is doable compared to 100 in the west. So New Hampshire, White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire near Franconia is where I spent some time, and there's cheap campgrounds up there. There's a little bit of boondocking, but it's definitely something worth checking out if you're in the area. And the elevation is 928 feet, and your average high in July is only 81 degrees. Yeah, you got some humidity, but still, that's pretty doable with a fan, and your low is only 57. So that's why Franconia made my list of some of the places to check out for cooler temperatures in the summer. Number 6 is Mammoth Lakes, California. And the Inyo National Forest, which is all around it, provides plenty of boondocking, shade, higher elevations. It's a beautiful area. And an elevation of 7,800 feet, it delivers really cool temperatures all throughout the summer. And even in the hottest month of July, the high temperature is only 78 degrees and the low is 48. So that makes Mammoth Lakes in the Eastern Sierras the perfect place to spend the summer if you live in a vehicle. Number 7 on my list, and I'm going to stop moving around because I've got a good wind block here. Number 7 is Finland, Minnesota. So again, we're going to be dealing a little bit with humidity, but Finland, Minnesota is on Lake Superior, so you have that wonderful Great Lakes lake effect, and the wind, which really keeps the temperatures pretty manageable in the summer, even with the humidity. At an elevation of 705, it's pretty low, but the high July temperature is only 78 degrees with a low of 58. And there are a ton of rustic campgrounds in the area that are free, so there's a lot of boondocking near Lake Superior in Minnesota. So I had a great time up there a couple years ago, and so if you're going to be in the Midwest, that might be a really good place to check out for some cooler RV living temperatures. Number 8 on my list is Valdez, Alaska. Alaska, the whole state of Alaska. Extremely humid, mosquitoes the size of birds, but it's definitely worth the trip. And with cooler temperatures throughout the entire state, it's a really good option for spending cooler summers. And I chose Valdez because I remember some wonderful boondocking not too far away. And the high temperature in July is only 63 degrees. Perfect. The low temperature is 58. You get a lot of rain and you get a lot of mosquitoes, and of course the elevation is only 98. Pretty close to sea level, right? But all of Alaska, you know, except for the big cities inland like Anchorage and Fairbanks, but anything else is almost, well, anything down by Homer and Valdez and Sitka, I think it was, are all on the water. So those are really nice places to be. Number 9 on my list is Mount Baker and Snoqualmie National Forest in Washington, near Snoqualmie, Washington. Beautiful area. I wasn't there in the summer. I was there in the spring when I went up to Alaska, but there's a lot of national forest, and at only 427 feet in elevation, Snoqualmie is still close enough to the bay and to the Pacific Ocean that it stays cool. So the July high is only 75 degrees, average 75 degrees, with a low average of 52. And finally, number 10 on my list of best places to spend the summer for cooler temps living in an RV or a van is Leadville, Colorado. I spent the entire summer in and around Leadville a couple years ago, and it was perfect. I think the hottest it ever got in my RV was like one day it got up to 90 degrees. But Leadville is at 10,158 feet in elevation, and a reminder, the higher in elevation, the cooler it is. Every 1,000 feet you gain in elevation, elevation, it gets 3 degrees cooler. So at 10,000 feet, it's probably the coolest place you can spend your summer living in an RV. Lots of boondocking options. It's getting more crowded, but it's still beautiful. All the amenities you need are in Leadville or close by in Denver, so it's the perfect place. And the high temperature for July in Leadville is an average of 72 degrees, and the lowest is 38. It never got too cold. So those are my 10 favorite places for escaping the heat in the summer while I'm living in my RV. Those of you who are on the road or love to travel, tell me what some of your favorite summer spots are in the comments below. And do me a favor, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. And even if you think you're subscribed, double check that subscription, because people are always getting unsubscribed. YouTube is kind of wonky sometimes. And give me a thumbs up and leave a comment and share this video with anyone you think might find it helpful. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. I'll see you soon.